it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com. Hi. And I thought I'd do a video here with a voiceover. I don't normally do these, but it was so windy on this day, there was just no point in talking to the camera. And I'm planting some spinach and lettuce here under a plastic cover because it's a bit cold still. It's like April 1st, I think, when I filmed this, or maybe April 2nd? April 2nd when I filmed this. Anyway, what I'm doing right now with this, this is sort of like a small, very, very small raised dome. But I'm just putting it in place and sort of jamming it down. You see how I'm standing on it a little bit, just to figure it doesn't, it doesn't fill the bed perfectly, right? But it gets good contact with the soil. I mean, I leveled it out really good first, but now because I've done that, I can see the outline of it, basically where it ends. So now I know that I can't plant my seeds beyond that, right? So it's just so I know it's just a quick way of laying out where the seeds need to go. So I'm planting spinach, what's it called, regiment spinach, and a Barilla lettuce today. And I've already planted spinach and lettuce a month ago under a plastic cover in a different bed. At this time of year, I sort of like to, spinach and lettuce, they don't produce all season long. Once they're done sort of thing. They start to flower and they're just finished. So if you like to have a steady supply of those into the growing season, you have to plant them in succession. So I planted some beginning of March, basically, and now I'm planting some beginning of April, and if I'm really on the ball, I'll plant another batch beginning of May. And I should have 3 different waves of lettuce and spinach, and by then we'll probably be tired of eating it and want to be getting into other stuff that's coming out of the garden. So I got 4 rows here. You notice I don't put any of the rows really close to the edge, because the closer you are to the edge, the colder it is this time of year, because it's still below 0 at night, below freezing. So I've only got 4 rows there, and I'm going to do them alternating. I'll go spinach, lettuce, or vice versa. Can't remember which. So here I am. I think I'm planting the lettuce first, and this lettuce, these seeds, they're not all like this, but these ones are pelletized. You ever try to plant lettuce? It's in these tiny little seeds. They blow around there. It's not like they're unmanageable, but it is a lot easier to use the pelletized seed. Tend to have a very high rate of germination, so you don't have to use, you don't have to plant 10 to get 1 sort of thing. So I'm doing, see how I jumped a row, right? So that's 2 rows of the lettuce with the pelletized seed. And I'm planting them about, an inch apart, give or take. I mean, I'm not going for perfection, right? And I mean, I've got, you can see I put little furrows in there, but it's just not really a planting depth. For lettuce and things like lettuce and spinach, you want them really close to the surface. You don't want them planted deep. So I mean, I did make a little furrow, but it's the most minute, the slightest of furrows, just because you want them near the top where all the sun's heat is and that sort of thing. The roots will find their way down. Don't worry about that. I mean, as general rule for seeds, it should be there should be enough. The amount of soil on top of the seed should be about equal to the size of the seed, sort of thing, right? So now I've got the spinach to plant. Right, I'm going to do 2 rows of that. Same idea with the spinach. Now these spinach seeds are smaller than they're not pelletized, so I'm probably planting them a lot closer. As the season progresses, spinach, you really can't move it. If you have a spinach, unless you take an incredible amount of, if you have 1 spinach plant and you can get all the soil that it's connected to around it, if you can really pluck it up out of the ground with all the soil underneath it, you can move it. But it's generally speaking, as a general rule, spinach does not like being moved. If you do move it, it tends to bolt, it tends to go to flower, and its days become numbered, to put it like that. So, when you're planting your spinach, bear that in mind. The lettuce actually can be moved. It tends to be a bit more tolerant of moving than spinach. I've never seen a plant hate being moved more than spinach. Other things hate it too, but spinach really does not like being moved. So, all these plants are eventually going to be like a hand span apart, right? As I thin them out. The spinach I thin by harvesting it. The lettuce, you can actually, pluck it out and move it. I was just showing you what the pelletized lettuce seed looks like. It's like a little white ball, almost looks like fertilizer, right? I don't know what that pellet's made of, some sort of sugar or something, like sugar or starch, something like that. Now I'm just putting some screen soil I have kicking around over the seeds I just planted. This stage is absolutely not necessary. I like to do it because my screen soil is it's from a different part of the garden. It's nice and dark, and it just tells me where I planted the plant. Right? And it's dark, so conceivably it gets a little bit warmer than the other soil because it's got that dark color. Right? It's just really, really good, rich soil from another part of the garden. Just scoop it out with a shovel, run it through a little screen, put it in a bucket, and it's ready to go. And everything here, it's been raining off and on almost every other day here, so I mean nothing's too dry here. I'm going to water this a bit later on, but it doesn't need an incredible amount of water. But yeah, I like doing this. This is not necessary, but I like doing it this way because it just makes it very clear where I planted. Something should be coming up out of the darker part. I've got a rectangle with these dark lines. And after a week or so, something should be coming up out of the dark lines. And if it isn't, I've done something wrong, right? So that's the way I sort of think about it, right? I mean, some people use this kind of soil or that kind of soil for planting. You don't, if I'm feeling lazy and I'm feeling I'm in a rush, I just use the soil that's already in the garden. But by doing this way, you know at least where you planted something. I don't put little sticks down with what I planted written on them, or I don't do any of that sort of stuff. I can usually tell by the first couple leaves what's been planted. So I generally have an idea of what's been planted in various beds in my garden, and I also have a map. I basically, every winter I do a garden plan, and I plan out what's going to go where. I'm pretty sure on my garden plan I decided to put spinach and lettuce here because this is not one of the sunnier parts of my garden. This time of year it gets pretty good sun, but as the season goes on and the trees leaf in and all that sort of stuff, it gets shadier and shadier. So it's not a bad place to have a batch of lettuce that will be coming on in July. So there we got the lid on. Jam it just fits that spot. Get the lid on, jammer in place. Notice I got a slight dome in that lid. It just worked better that way. Anyway, just an early spring planting. I hope you found that interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.